Hello guys, in this video we'll continue in creating our CRUD application. So we are done with the displaying of the records. Now we'll be adding a form that will allow the user to input an information. So let us create a link in our application. And then we'll name it as add new record, and then under href property of the anchor tag will be adding or will be specifying the page where the user will add information. So let's check the output. When the user clicks on this button or this link, the application will redirect the user to the add new record page. Then we'll be creating the file for the add new record.php, and then we'll be typing HTML. We'll be creating a HTML file. Then for the head, then the body, then we'll save this file, and then we will name it as add new record.php. Okay, so add new record.php. Okay, and then so we'll be naming this as add new. Okay, so we'll be adding a title tag here, title, then add new record. It's the title of our HTML file, and then under body we'll defining a form, but first we need to create a table /table, then tr/tr, and then td, so we'll be defining a form here, form tag, then form tag, then we'll be defining two columns. Okay, so we'll be creating a form that will allow the user to fill in the information required, like for example name, address, sex, and of course, so we need 4 rows of our table. Then okay, so in our first row we'll be specifying the label of the first text box. So input type is equal to text. So let's check the output. Add new record, then we have a one text box here, and the name is, or the label is name, and then we'll be copying this one, copy. Okay, so copy. We'll be using different form elements in for the sex. Then this one is address, colon, and this one sex, colon, and this one is course, for the course. And then in our sex we'll be defining, or we'll be using the select element, select, then /select, and then under select we'll be defining an options. So in the first option the value is empty, and the middle of the tag is sex. And then copy. Then for here, we'll be specifying male, then female. For the male, the value is 1, and for the female, the value is 2. Then the last row will be defining a button. So we need to remove that, and we'll be using the call span attribute to merge the two columns. Then input type, submit. And let's check the output. Okay, so we have a simple form here that accepts or that allow the user to input the following information: name, address, sex, course, and there's a button here that when the user clicks it or clicks on it, it will save the record. So the value for this submit button is save. And let us specify the different names. So the name is equal to btn save for the button, and for the course, okay, the name is equal to the name is txt course, and placeholder is equal to course. And then the name for the select is equal to cbo sex, and then for the address, we'll be naming it as txt address. Then the placeholder is address. So let's check the output. So we have this kind of form, and then for the name is course, that is txt name. Then the placeholder is equal to name, and then we'll be adding a label for our table. So we need to add another title for our table or for our form. So we'll be adding another row, and be using again the call span to merge the column, and then call span 2. Then the name of the form is add new record, and then F5. So let us make this table at the center of our screen. So align center, then we'll be adding cell padding. Okay, then the value is 5 and F5. Okay, so it's on the middle of our screen. So when the user clicks on this save button, okay, the record will be saved. So placeholder is name, and then for the form, we'll be adding an attribute action and method is equal to. So in this example, we'll be using the post method, and then for the action, it will be specifying the same file. So the data will be processed in add new record.php in the same file. So that's it. Let's try to refresh it and save. Okay, so nothing happens because there are still no codes for our form. So we'll be adding a statement here at the top of our file. Okay, so PHP. Then the first thing that you need to do is to check if the button has been submitted using the isSet function. So if isSet, okay, then so the post, then btn save. Okay, so that means if the form has been submitted, then this statement will be executed. So first thing that we need to do is to get the different values of these form elements. So we have the txt name first, then we'll be defining a variable. Name is equal to $, pause, and then double quote, then semicolon. So let's try first if this statement is correct, if we are getting the value for the txt name. So let's refresh it, and then let's try to type a value here. For example, John Doe, then save. So that is correct. So we are getting the value of the field name. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, instead of displaying it, okay, I'll be copying another elements. So for the txt address, then cbo6, then we also have txt course, then we'll be changing its name, address. This one is for sex and this one is for course. Okay, then we'll be requiring the connection page require. So the file name of our connection is db_connect.php, and then after that we'll be defining an SQL statement. SQL is equal to, then insert into tbl student. So let's check the name of our table. So the name of our table is tbl student, then the columns name, address, sex, and course first. And then for the values, we'll be using the bind parameters. So we'll be defining a variable here for the name, comma, colon, address, comma, for the sex, colon, sex. Okay, so we'll be binding a variable here, then colon, course, and then let's check the statement. Okay, I think it's correct. Then after that, we'll be using the prepare statement. So result is equal to con, then the prepare statement of the PDO. Then inside of the prepare, we'll be placing the SQL as the parameter. Then we'll be creating the values for the different parameters. So let's define an array. Then the first parameter is name. So name is equal to the name here. So we'll just bind this variable and the value, and then we'll just copy it, then comma, and comma, and then for the address, and for the sex, and for the course, and then so we need to execute this statement. Then result is dash execute. So inside of the execute statement, we'll be placing the values as the parameters. This will bind the variable and the value. And then we'll be checking if there are record or there is a record that is added. So to do that, all you need to do is copy the result, and then we'll be using the row count. Okay, then if row count is greater than 0, that means okay, so there is a record that has been added. So if there is a record that has been added, okay, so we'll be displaying statement. So we'll be using the JavaScript alert, then script, then alert, semicolon, record has been saved. And then once the user click on the OK button, it will redirect the user to our main file, which is the list underscore location list underscore students.php. So window.location list students.php. Otherwise, it will prompt a message that there are no records that has been added. Okay, so let's try that. So echo. Then we'll be removing the window location. Okay. Then in here, no record has been saved. So let's try our application. So as you can see, there are no error trappings that we use. So later on we'll be adding an error trapping for our application. So let's go back to our page, refresh, and click the add new record, and we'll be adding a new record, like for example John Smith, and the address is let's say Manila, and the sex is male, and the course is BSIT. Then click on the save button. Save. Okay, so record has been saved. Click OK. Then it will redirect you to list underscore students.php. So it was successfully added, the John Smith Manila 1 BSIT. So let's try another. So how about an empty record? So this is what I'm saying. Okay, so since there are no error trappings, so once you click the save button, automatically it will save the record even it is empty. So let's add some error trapping here. So once the user entered nothing on these different fields, it will not save the record. So let's try to add a simple validation. Okay, so we'll be placing this statement under the else statement, and then close. Then in here under name, we'll be using the is equal to empty. Then it will display a message. Please input a valid name, like for example. And then let's try that. So we'll be saving the record. Save. So please input a valid name. So we added a simple validation. And okay, we'll just copy it. Else if, and then address. Okay, we need to copy it first. So we will require that all fields must not be empty. Okay. 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 So let's try our application. So we try to add, for example, say Mark Rodriguez. Then we will not add an address for this person. Then click the save button, and then please input a valid address. So that means it will require you to specify the address. So for example, New York, and then for the sex, let us set it into empty, then save. So please input a valid sex. So that means all the columns is required or are required. So sex is male, and then for the course, let's say PS CS, then save. Okay, so we successfully added a record. So thank you so much, and God bless.